energy industry. I work with as a safety consultant. I worked in hospitality. So I can confidently say I have the experience of seeing things firsthand on the ground, being in the industry and in the services. So that's about me. And I'm expecting that all of you have something or the other to take away from this session, and also impart me with the knowledge you have and revive my old memories of being a student. It's great to have you, and welcome again to the session. Let's make it as interactive as possible. I will start sharing my screen, and let me know, give me a thumbs up if you can see it.
Yes, ma'am, we can see it.
All right, perfect. So, Vaibhav, are we good to go? So, in the next 2 sessions, like today and tomorrow, we are going to look at IBM Enterprise Design Thinking as a process and try and understand it as much as possible hands-on. So what I expect you to be is very participative. Please ask me as many questions as you can. If it was difficult for you to interrupt me at any point, there's a chat window. Please drop your questions there, and we can pick up from there and solve all your questions. All right. So as I said, please be present. Since we are virtually connecting, it's sometimes difficult to focus. So as much as possible, avoid multitasking. Please be the crew member, not the passenger. And please mute your microphones when not speaking. And if you have a question, you can raise a hand and we can attend to it. All right. Okay. So this is the agenda for the next 4 hours, 2 hours today and tomorrow, another 2 hours. So we'll briefly go over the story of design thinking and its evolution. And we will also try and understand what is enterprise design thinking all about, and actually get our hands on how we can use EDT in your projects which you are working on at the current hackathon event. So there are a lot of things on the screen, but we will get there and we will see as we move. All right, so to just give you a quick introduction of how design thinking began, it was way back in the 1960s when the first concepts of design started coming into the actual world of making products. But it's only till in the 1970s that the actual principles of design thinking started forming. So I would say that the credit must be given to a gentleman called David Kelly. He's a Stanford professor who's brought design thinking into the mainstream, I would say, in the 1900s by forming this company called IDEO. I do not know if you have seen or anybody has an idea of how the first mouse that was made for Apple Macintosh looks like. Does anybody know? So this company, IDEO, was one of those design thinking company which has provided the design for Apple to give that mouse design. I can actually share a picture of that. Let me see if I can switch my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the first mouse of Apple's Macintosh, and this design came from IDEO. So now we have this design thinking as a part of the mainstream with so many companies adopting it. Like you have so many examples around you. Many companies like McKinsey, everybody adopts design thinking, but it was David Kelly, as I said, who brought this into mainstream. And he also founded a school called D School, which is also now available for all the students to gain knowledge in the field of design thinking. So this school was founded in 2004. And in the early 2010, that is like 2012, 2013, that is when IBM has taken a leap into the design thinking process by hiring a lot of designers and started uh, reaching out to its customers with products which are very user-centric or human-centric. So that's like the brief timeline of design thinking, a small story, I would say. If we move on, has any of you experienced what design thinking is? Have you heard of design thinking before? Yes, no?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No. Okay. So we haven't heard of design thinking, but as we go further, let me also see whether this answer stays. So what is design thinking? This is a very interesting quote by one of the IBM's ex leaders. She actually says that whenever we go through certain experience and we feel that experience is one of the best experience, that becomes the benchmark for us for any future experiences that we will have thereafter. So every time we have a similar experience, our mind always gets back to the older experience we have, and we say, like, that last experience was the best experience I have. So nothing can beat that best experience ever after. So this is a very, very interesting quote for all the designers to remember. So what exactly is design thinking? Design thinking is a mindset. So it is a framework. Enterprise design thinking is a framework which helps the users, the designers, the ones who are trying to provide solution, all of us, with the tools that are required to enable designing in a faster way, in a speedier way, with minimum risk, and also constantly reinventing so that, you know, that we stay in vogue with what is happening in the market or with the surroundings or with the competition. So it is a human-centered, iterative method of problem solving, which helps us provide delightful experiences to our users. As you can see, there's more details on this slide. We will definitely touch base with all these points, but just to give you a quick run through. So design thinking is based on a couple of principles. As you see, they are focused on the outcomes. We have diverse, empowered teams working to provide designs, and there is a constant reinvention, restless reinvention that happens as part of this process. And all this happens in a loop fashion. As you can see, there are many infinity symbols on the screen. Those are the loops, and we will discuss this loop much in thorough. Moving on, like I asked you earlier, whether you have heard about design thinking or experienced design thinking, and some of you said you haven't. But let's see this example and revisit that question. So does this look like a familiar landscape? Probably not the landscape, because we don't see many taxis, yellow cabs in India, or a suited person hailing a cab in India. But yes, we definitely must be somewhere there where we are standing on the road and asking for an auto to stop, or a rickshaw to stop, or a bus to stop. So basically, we all experienced this hailing of public transportation some way or the other, right? Can you give me a thumbs up? All right. So now, if you said that you haven't experienced design thinking, I would ask you to reconsider. Have you used Uber at any point in time?
Yes, many times.
Many times. So the same experience of hailing a cab standing on the road is solved so beautifully by Uber using design thinking. It is an app which helped us do things in a more certain way, in a click of button, where you know where you're, in the previous scenario, you are in an uncertainty, you don't know where you're standing, or sometimes you don't know where you're going, not the routes, what's the cost, whether the guy stops, whether whether we're going to negotiate for the price. All those details are such an uncertainty in the older scenario. But now with Uber, you have kind of solved all that uncertainty. Now I know where I'm going. I can plug in the details. I can get a cost estimate before I even choose to travel or not. I can pay at my own convenience. I can go cashless. I can not hassle or with the rig guy about how much I want to pay, whether he's giving me change or not. All that experience, which was adversity in the last screen, is now replaced with a beautiful experience we have now, and we are using it on almost regular basis now, this facility of Uber, right? So this is the power of design thinking, where the user was placed at the center of the experience and the design was made around the user, so that there is a constant a way of developing or creating a delightful experience to that user. So now, how many of you will say that you have experienced design thinking? Can I have more thumbs up now? Great. All right. So let's get moving.
Right. Just to interrupt here, Sushmita, see, the room is full for everyone. So if some of your friends could not join, I've shared the link of the live stream in the chat. Please ask them to, view the workshop via that link. Thank you.
Most welcome. Okay, so we are already 99 people, 100. Give ourselves a round of applause for that. Thanks for your enthusiasm. Okay, let's move on from here. So what we're saying is basically a good design is about recognizing that the person on the other end has a lot less patience than we do. When we are in the weeds, solving problems for our users, first of all, recognizing our users is important. And when we're solving our problem and we are going through a lot of complexity and challenges in solving those problems, take a step back, go through the process, understand your users, then start building on your solutions so that you are much familiar with what the needs of the users are, and then start building things around the user needs and, in a very systematic framework. That's all about design thinking. The end of it, you have to provide your users with a framework, with a product that delights them. So what is it in for you through this session is that you're trying to learn a methodology to innovate, to work in collaboration with teams, to be able to ideate better on your projects, and to be able to have a template where you can explore or research. And eventually, all this should be leading you to build a solution which is human-centric. That is what we are looking at. Okay, I'll take a pause here and see if any one of you have any questions. Any questions so far?
Ma'am, this research further, if we have already done some kind of innovation, then in further research, what new we can find?
Okay, so the innovation which you're doing in your product has to be supported by a research, not just for the product, not just what the product is about, what is the technology you're going to do, what you're going to use, what is the material you're going to use. It is, see, design thinking basically doesn't provide you the framework of how to do it. It starts with what to do and who to be addressed to. So the research is not just around the product. The research is also about who is using that product. What is the need that is being met? So this whole design thinking provides you to do that template to explore more. And in organizations which are larger scale, where you have a lot of people and you're building products, the templates which we're talking here, they come from teams who are working in market research. They're trying to find out whether such product already exists in the market. Is there a potential for that? Is there a potential competition for that? If we are looking at users, who exactly qualify as our user, who exactly will be called the end user of our product. So all these gets clarified in the process when you're using a certain template of researching. Does that answer you?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Any other questions? Okay, then let's move on. So we've already come across now the story of design thinking, and also on the what of design thinking. Now, the most important is the how of design thinking. So all of you have now, as a part of this hackathon, have a theme to work on, right? You have tech for good as a theme for your hackathon, and you all have probably your projects handy and ready with you for working on. So what I request you is, if you have a piece of paper and a pen with you, usually design thinking runs as workshops. So all of us put our brains together, and the workshops are also run in not as huge as 100-member team, but as compact as possible for a set of people who can be there as a representative of the empowered teams and together work to find out a roadmap for the products or a minimum viable product design. So since we are a large number, we are really not going in the workshop format. So as much as possible, I try to integrate the workshop concepts into the design thinking process here. But what I request you is, if you are comfortable with your screens, drawing, writing there, it's well and good. If not, if you can have a paper and pen handy, then as we move on, let's also work through like a workshop and see if I can interact with you to understand how it's progressing. All right. So
yeah, that will be more interactive, right?
Yeah, correct. So as I said, I'm touch basing back on the principles with which we started. So the three important principles of design thinking are that we focus on outcomes, we work with diverse empower teams, and we restlessly reinvent. So when I'm saying diverse empower teams, the teams, they are able to make a decision. They have all the information that they require to make that decision, and they are able to communicate the decision to the management. In your case, probably it is more like you know about what is happening, and you can able to take a decision along with your team to design the product. Okay, so these are the important principles of design thinking. As you can see the loop on the screen, this is actually a model of action that is a part of the design thinking. So as a part of the design thinking, what we do is understand what is the present situation and envision what we want for the user in the future. And this happens in continuous cycles of observing, reflecting, and making. Now, when I say observing, reflecting, and making, what are the steps of each of this process, each of these steps? Say, for example, in the case of observing, what I want to know is who my users are, what are their needs, how do I connect with them, how do I get a feedback with them as I progress and develop the material or the product or a solution or a service. So all this happens during the stage of observing. Now, during the stage of reflecting, what we're saying is that, yes, now we have a knowledge about our users. Now, I want to bring that knowledge to my team, the one who is sitting and designing the solution. Provide them with all the details, know the team, know each other, and then have a common understanding of the goal where we want to reach, or have a common intent where we want what we want to develop, understand the constraints, understand the assumptions, and have a plan in writing and proceed as per the plan. So this is all the part of reflect. And now in the third point is the make. So that's where you start actually making the product or designing the solution. So that's when you have to, get the possible outcomes, understand the possible solutions, get onto your design board, draw something, prototype something, build a minimum viable product, go get to your stakeholders, start discussing, reflecting with them, and come back. So this whole process of observe, reflect, and make, it has to be a continuous process. And so that every time you're innovating, you go through the entire cycle in loop and constantly make a progress and provide better solutions. So that's about the loop. Any question here? All right. So I will ask you a question. Now I want you to put your answers on the chat window. What happens if I break this loop? And only say, for example, if I break the loop into half and take the first half, what happens if I only observe and reflect? Can I have some answers on the chat window? Or you can unmute yourself and speak. What happens if you just observe and reflect and do not make anything?
All I guess that it will be only the idea or the prompt we are like making, we are thinking of designing that we will do on that stage. But if we do not discuss our designing thing and our observing thing to the coders and the people who are like working on this project, it will be going to like somewhere it will not be that much effective like all like. Yes.
Yeah. Thanks for your answer, Vimla. I hope I got your name right. Yes. What we're saying is if you're constantly observing and reflecting, but not making anything, it is sort of analysis paralysis. So we know the user, we know the user's need. We bring back all those needs and come and reflect as a team that what we can do and what we cannot do. But we're really not making any product. So we're constantly debating, do I know my user? Is this product correct for the user? Is this requirement from the user? So can I make a... So we're constantly debating the idea, but we're really not making anything possible. We're not really making any products. So this is sort of an analysis paralysis, all right? And the next stage, what if you reflect and make, but are not observing? What happens in this case? Can I have some answers? So in the stage of reflecting, you're saying that you as a team know what to do and you're making it. But there is no observation here. So what happens when you just reflect and make?
We
Yes,
won't
ma'am.
get the perfect. I'm sorry.
No problem, go ahead.
We won't get the perfect output that our user want. It's just on our hypothesis that our user may need this.
Correct.
This is
Correct. That's very good, Kapila. So,
Sorry to interrupt.
Harshita,
When
go
we have
on.
a proper input, there is a perfect output too. So we need to observe very carefully and go on.
Correct. I also got an answer from Alka on the chat. Yes, there's no scope of improvement in that case. That's true. So in this case, what we're saying is we are really flying blind. We don't know what our user wants. We don't understand their requirements. What we're doing is our own concepts in our own heads as a team who has some knowledge of technology and making it. Eventually, we don't know if it clicks with our users or not. So that's what we mean by saying we're flying blind. All right, perfect. And the last scenario. So what happens if we are observing it and making it, but not reflecting? The answer is on the screen. It is that we're just taking the orders, which means that every time my user says, I want this, you go put that into your tool and start delivering. So it becomes really like somebody's ordering you and you're going and delivering it, but there is really no reflection whether that is required for the product, whether the facility can be done in a better way, whether my team has capability of doing it or not. So no such thing exists, and you're just simply working on the whims and wishes of the user. Okay, so the loop of observing, reflecting, and making is so important and so constantly important that we deliver a product which is like completely meeting the needs, as well as completely in our ability to understand and deliver. And also we have a product at hand at the end of the exercise. All right. So that's about the loop, which is, as I said, a model for action. And in IBM design thinking, we also have what are called as the keys. These keys help us align with the project goals. There are 3 keys, which are hills, playbacks, and sponsor users. We will go through each of them in the next slide. So, any questions so far? All right, let's move on. So, we went through the design thinking process on an overall so far. So we said we want to start with understanding and developing empathy for our users. Then we will explore the possible solutions that we want to provide to these users to solve their problems. And then we will not stop at just giving a solution. We will prototype it so that we have something ready to work on. We have something tangible in our hands, and then also evaluate constantly to get a feedback from the user, as well as feed forward into our systems or into the process. So generating alternate ideas is a part of evaluating. So in this process, if I have a couple of more tools which can help me make this process more easier, then and align all of us into delivering a better product. Those are the things which we call as the keys. The first key which we saw was hills. Now, what exactly is a hill? Let's see. Now, hills are statements of intent that are written as meaningful user outcomes. Now, what do I mean by that? So basically, these are need statements where we are saying which are written by us after understanding what we want to provide to the user, and park it somewhere so that we constantly, as designers, as developers, as solution providers, go revisit that and keep us aligned to our goal as we move or make progress into developing the product. So what does hill essentially look like? It looks like a statement where there is a who, that is, who is the user, what, that is, what is the need of the user that is being met, and wow, which is the differentiator. So we all know there's so much of competition out there in the world. So every time there are new products, you need to be able to differentiate from the other products. You need to make your user have those aha moments. Get him to say, oh, wow. So that's the differentiator you want to park as a part of your need statement itself, so that your design is actually taking care of that moment for the user. All right. So let me give you an example of how a typical hill statement can look like. So in this case, if you see, you have a developer who is the user, and for that developer, what is the need that is being met is to be able to build and run an app using IBM and third-party APIs. So this developer has to develop some applications. So that's the who and what. Now, adding on to it, what is the differentiator? what is that you want to give that to the developer that makes him like feel, wow, that he should be able to do it in no more than 30 minutes. You should be able to do it within 30 minutes. So that's the differentiator. You bring it into your Hill statement so that the user not only gets the need met, but also feels really wowed about the solution you're providing. So are we clear about the Hill statement?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Moving on, the other other keys we saw. The other one is the stakeholder mapping. Now, stakeholders are very important for us. Stakeholders are consists of sponsor users, consists of people who are part of the decision making as well. So basically, sponsor users help. See, in the real world, when you're building a real world solution, so when you have the user participating as a part of that solution, there's nothing like that. You not always you get every user of your product come and sit along with you in your room along with your team to help and design the solution. But as much as possible, you can have a representation of that user in your room. So if I am an IBMer and I am building a HR tool for all the people inside my organization, I probably would want to have a group of sponsor users picked up from different parts of the organization. Say, for example, one from finance, one from operations, one from supply chain. These are the representative pool of people who can sit along with me whenever it is possible to reflect on what are the things we are providing to him, whether that is meeting his requirement or not. So understand these stakeholders, mapping their expectations, developing a relationship with them as we build the product. This is the most important part of the stakeholder map. Okay. And the last key we saw is the playback. Now, playbacks, these are sort of storytelling sessions, I would say, that would be nice to have, which is spanned over a period of time where you convene with the stakeholders and play it back to them to see what you've built so far and get a feedback from them on those features built so far. So it's basically aligning all of us across a period of time and getting a feedback loop complete by constantly reflecting with the people who are using that product and who are part of that product. Okay, so playbacks are a time to bring stakeholders into the loop to reflect together. Is that clear so far? We have hills, stakeholder mapping, and playbacks. All right. So together, all of this forms the IBM design thinking approach, where you start with your users, you develop a Hill statement, you explore the solutions, you constantly play back these solutions or options with your stakeholders. That is after you identify your stakeholders. And then once they agree, then you prototype. See, it is stakeholder playbacks not essentially need to be just like PowerPoint presentations or just like, the Excel reports. They can be as visual as possible, as interesting as possible, could be hardwired, could be anything, any prototype that they can actually make the user feel it. And then once you involve them in the process, evaluate the solutions along with them, then constantly with that feedback, bring in change to the design or bringing more understanding to the design, or incrementally increase the value you're providing to the your sponsor user or your users by providing a better design. So that's all about design thinking approach. All right. This is the first section, first section of the how. Now, from here onwards, we will be actually running a parallel workshop kind of thing on the how. So do you want to take a quick break and come back, or should I continue? I'll leave it to you. I'll stop sharing my screen to see what's the feedback. So if you want to continue, please give me a hands up or drop it in the chat. But if you want to take a 10-minute break, I'm okay with that. Yes, I have some hands up. Go ahead. Anusha, you raise your hands.
So thumbs up means we want to take a break, or thumbs up means we are good to go? So there are two messages in chat that say break.
Ma'am, we shall continue.
We'll continue. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. The section is more interesting. Like it doesn't seem like time is running so fast.
Okay. No, that's good. Okay, then let me just.
But right, let's ask. What do you suggest, Ashmita? Should we take a break? I think it's a tie. Half the people are saying break, and half the people are saying we should continue.
No, I'm okay. I'm okay. I can speak for next 1 hour without any break. But it's you who's absorbing all the information. So I want you to, understand whether you have enough on your mind right now, or just go ahead. Okay. If you are interested, then let's continue. But let's do a small quiz and then take a break. Okay. Does that sound like a plan? So I'm going to just drop a couple of questions in the chat window, and I will see how what are the answers, and then discuss those answers. So I'm dropping the first question in the chat window, and let's see what's the answer like. Can you see the question on the chat window?
No, ma'am.
Not yet. Okay, let me just close the chat and reopen it. I understood what's the issue. Oh, okay. There you go. That's your first question. Design thinking typically helps in. You have 4 options there. Let me see what are the answers each of you pick up. I see it's unanimously C, except for one small D somewhere. Alka, do you want to come on, unmute yourself and try and explain why you picked up a D as an option?
Ma'am, as I have seen that picture of Uber and that man was waiting, so it was like how we can use that app, how it is operationally efficient. That thinking came in my mind.
Okay, operational efficiency is actually an internal organization term here in this context, which means that you are using design thinking to improve your own the efficiency of your own operations. Like Uber is using design thinking to develop its efficiency. But as I said, design thinking is a framework that helps you innovate better. So when we went to that slide where I said, what's it in for me by the end of this session, we said that we clearly want to do innovation in a better way, to collaborate with the teams in a better way, to get a template of doing how things are done in terms of research or in terms of exploring. And all of that happens with the help of design thinking. So innovation is the first or the most sought out output of design thinking. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am, understood.
All right. So let me just go and post the second question. And there, I'm posting it. Let's see. Which is not a part of the loop? Correct. So what is part of loop is observe, reflect, and make. Reduce is really not part of the loop. Excellent. And one last question before we can think of continuing or taking a break. Here we go. What is the first step in the design thinking process? Okay, now that's interesting. I'm seeing a lot of answers called observe, which are not part of the options provided for that question. I'll repost the question. Please see the question carefully. What is the first step in the process of design thinking? Is it empathize, define, ideate, or prototype?
It's a prototype.
It's a prototype. That's the answer from Vimla. Okay, I think we will just go back to that screen where we discuss the approach. Let me share my screen back. So if you see the approach, the first step, which we're seeing, can you see my screen? The first step is for us to understand the users and empathize with the users. So understanding your user is the first step. And that's where you will start building a solution. All the prototyping, all the ideation, all the work around your product building is only after you understand your user. Okay. So empathizing with your user is the first step of design thinking process. Am I clear with that?
Yes, understanding the problem, what exactly exists, right?
Understanding the problem. You have a problem at hand, but understanding who is facing that problem, who exactly falls into the category of users for you, and what is that they want to, what is the need that they want to be met. Say, for example, I am designing, can some of you share any of the themes you've come, around the theme of your hackathon, if you have come up with any of the idea, can any one of you just throw that idea around?
It's an e-commerce project, and where we are like using like shops near around the user and the some.
Okay, so I wasn't able to clearly hear you, Vimla, but I think say something like an application that helps all the shops nearby, all the grocery shops nearby. So, or say application that helps a person to understand what all the grocery shops are nearby before picking up what to which shop to go and shop for things. So if that is the problem statement, it is about understanding who exactly is facing that problem. If I'm going to design a solution, I need to know who is at the center of that problem, who's facing that problem, so that I can go solve it for that person. Okay, I can bring that person understand, I can bring that person live to understand that this is the need, this is the person, he's having certain need, and I'm going to provide a solution, and not just provide a solution, but also provide a solution that really wows him. Okay, so it starts with empathizing who the user are, understanding their needs, understanding the context of their needs, and then providing a solution or designing a solution. Clear?
Clear.
Okay. So that's where we are saying the first step in the design thinking process is empathize. Okay. So now I think we rightfully earned a small break. So let's go take that break, say for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. However you want. I'm just going to time it for 5 minutes and
Sure.
Let's meet back in 5 minutes.
Sure.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Hello, Sushmita.
Hey, welcome back. Do we have everyone back in the room? Can I get some reactions to show you're there? Good. Is everyone back? Can we start again? All right. So while there's still a speculation if everyone is back, I'm just going to post something on the chat window and let me know if any one of you know this company and what is this company called right now. Do you know this company? Airbedandbreakfast.com.
Not able to see a screen.
Yeah. No, it's on the chat window.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a couple of answers here. Does everyone agree with those answers? Yeah, it is Airbnb, airbedandbreakfast.com. So this is a company which started way back in 2008. And the founders started from, I think, San Francisco or California somewhere. So they were earning about $200 per week on the business. And they eventually, the three founders, and they started losing money on their investments as time progressed. They're not able to understand why it is like that. So they went through a design thinking exercise. And what do you think was the reason which was stopping them from getting more business? Any guesses?
Understanding their users.
Actually, I read about this thing before. So they told that the photos which they were posting, that was not up to the mark. So they hired a professional photographer to click an amazing photos of the places, and that's when they get more sales or more customers from their platform, I guess.
Excellent, excellent. That is so true. So the smallest reason, but making a biggest impact for them was the pictures that are taken about the places which are providing that service. Like as a homeowner who I'm letting out a room of my home, or I'm letting out a terrace penthouse of my home, and I won't have professional photographing instruments. Like I just probably will take my phone, click around, and post it so that I get a income, right? So the pictures are dim, dark, dull, shady, not very clear, whether, and the information about the room is not showing well. So what they did was to hire professionals to go to those places, get world-class pictures, post them with reviews, and that's where the business jet set off. And you now know it's a large business until, of course, COVID has hit, and it's still, it saw a downfall, but I think they're picking up again. So that's about Airbnb. Good. Let's now get back into our session. Okay. How many of you know what a mural is? I will share my screen, just a minute. Can you see my screen? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So Mural is actually a tool. It's a collaboration tool. Okay. Now, as I said at the beginning of the session, that usually all the design thinking exercises are run as workshops, okay, where you need to collaborate as a group and start from the idea where the business opportunity you identified and bring it to a point of prototyping or a minimum viable product. So it requires a lot of collaboration between the members to throw the ideas, to complete, to understand their users and all of it. So Mural is one such collaboration tool. But since we are more like running our session like a education session, what I did was to actually pick up an example of how a mural looks and how the collaboration happens. So let me show you how a mural looks. Can you see my screen that I'm sharing a web browser? Okay, so this is a template for design thinking, which we usually do it as a part of the workshop. We use it as a part of the workshop where we are doing the design thinking activity. You have a team with a name and members, and then we go and do the hills, which we already discussed. Is a hill is a statement of intent or a problem that is being solved. And we then identify a user who fits, for whom we are solving this problem, empathize with that user, and then move on, gather the requirements, and make a need statement, design a need statement, as you see in this box down here, number 5. And then once we know what is the need that we are trying to solve, then understand what is the user currently facing, or what's the scenario as is, and what exactly do we want the user to feel at the end of our, experiencing the solution? What will be the to-be scenario? Okay, and then to reach that to-be scenario, what exactly are the big ideas we have? Now, we have a lot of ideas. Now, how do we prioritize those ideas? And then how do we prototype those ideas? So all this framework which you see, this whole Mural is actually a collaboration tool where people, all of us, like if you are working in a team, you get to a Mural, you start posting under each of the topic when we are discussing, start posting the post-its. Now, how does, if you want to see how a room looks after the exercise is done, let me just show you how it looks. At the end of the day, if you're doing it virtually, you use a Mural tool. But if you're doing it on site, this is how it looks. It's so many ideas that are getting posted everywhere, and the converging, the diverging of minds. The idea is in design thinking is not to overrule somebody else's idea. Bring all the ideas, take time, first diverge, get individual ideas, then come back together, converge, discuss those ideas, evaluate those ideas, and then figure out what we want to do for the user, start building the product. That's how it works. So this is how passionate the room looks at the end of a day or 2-day session on design thinking. And Mural, which I showed you, is exactly the same thing, but in a virtual world. Okay, so all these steps now we'll go over and we will try and do it. But as I said, since we are doing it as a part of not like a workshop, but more like a classroom session, we will, I have picked up some examples and then we will do it together. And I also urge you to have your pen and paper ready, because you know the problem statement you're working on, and you will be able to do the same with your problem statement along with your team as we progress. Okay. Are we clear so far? Can I get some thumbs up? Some agreement? Yes? No?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so in summary, a design thinking workshop is designed to have several convergent and divergent cycles, as I said before. And this is built as an exercise where you go through the steps of understanding, exploring, and defining, understanding your users, their pain points through empathy maps, and then exploring the solution. Exploring big ideas by building a hill statement based on the pain points, and then defining a solution based on the assumptions as well as the pain points identified and incorporated into your hill statement, and build a minimum viable product. So that's whole exercise, though it's summarized in say 3 steps, but this is a whole exercise. And I want to give you a caution here. Design thinking is not a linear exercise. Like, you don't have to first start clearly having who the user are, then clearly making a need statement, and then building a product. No, it's not like that. As I said, we are observing, reflecting, and making. So at some point down we may start with some user. At some point down the process, we may understand that that user is just one part of it. There may be different types of users. Or we may say the hill statement, which we decided, probably is very constraining. Maybe we need to accommodate a little more into the hill statement. Or so this becomes an eventual building exercise and doesn't really work in a linear fashion. Okay, so it constantly gets improved. It constantly gets made by observing and reflecting. Okay, so users. We talked so much that this is a human-centric experience. We have to have a user in the center of the experience and all of it. Who exactly is the user? The problem is, you may, as a designer or as somebody who's a solution provider, you may or may not be the user. I would not 100% say that you were definitely not the user, but most likely you are not the user. You're building the solution for some user. But still, there's an upside to it because you're working in diverse, empowered teams. You're working with your stakeholders, sponsors, all of them. Each one of you in your team knows something about the user. You know that, each of you bring some idea of how the user will be, what the person will be, and give some inputs in building that user. So user persona is building that user who will be using the product. Okay. So now, as it's promised you, there are templates in which you build these things. Design thinking provides you with the templates to do things, right? So here's one template. This is called persona building. So the persona building is basically, what is a persona? A persona is somebody who is a representation of larger population of the users of your solution. Say, for example, if I'm constructing an apartment and I want to sell that apartment, I want to understand who that user is, who is the user of that apartment. So what constitutes my persona? My persona could be somebody first who fits into the economics of that building, apartment. Say, I'm building an apartment, which I want to sell it at, say, based on the current location statistics, that location has about 60 lakhs is what costs a 2-bedroom apartment. So somebody who's in the economic region of 60 lakhs payable, somebody who probably has a family, wants to, or a bachelor, or there are so many users who can who you can place at the center of your solution and start building your solution around that. So that's somebody, that user who's a representative of a larger population of the solution consumers is what we are going to call as a user persona. So this is a template which shows what the user persona is. We are going to here describe, bring to life a person. And from here onwards, once we have the user persona, we're going to refer that we're solving the problem for that user persona. Okay. So in building the personas, you usually get the demographics of the person, about general description, age, location, attitudes, and goals. Now, as I promised you, we will have a sort of workshop format. Let me just switch to the example, which I will want to pick up and have you understand the whole concept in a better way. So in this case, I am taking up a business opportunity called, calling it out like this, that I want to open a salad studio to provide right nutrition to women. Okay, this is my business opportunity. I see a huge opportunity for people who want to consume, especially women who want to consume salad, and I want to open a studio for that opportunity. This is my business opportunity. Okay, now what I want you to do is take a minute and write down what is that business opportunity which you are working as a part of your hackathon. Take a minute and write it down. I'll give you a minute. So I will not suddenly announce surprises, but what I'm trying to do is at the end of this small exercise, probably call out for any one of you to share their business opportunity and also share their user persona. So while you're doing it along with me, so keep that in mind, that probably you will have an opportunity to share it with the rest of the users, rest of the audience in this call. I'll give you one more minute. Please write down your business opportunity. If you have not had any ideas already, you can write an idea right now, which you want to pick up. All right. Okay, let's move on. Like I said, this is the business opportunity. And now I'm building a persona. Now, who is the persona I want to build? So as I said, I'm building the business opportunity is to provide right nutrition to women. So I'm picking a women persona. I'm calling that persona as Disha. I'm giving a face to that persona. I'm saying Disha looks like this. And I'm giving some details about how Disha is, or who Disha is. Disha is a 26-year-old working IT professional. She's working out of Bangalore. As you can see from the general description, she is a postgraduate with fair amount of experience as a developer in a reputed tech company for almost 4 to 5 years now. She's a bachelor who's sharing her flat with her friends. She's having active social life. She's participates in a lot of activities and also travels once in a while to be with her family who's elsewhere and not living with her right now. So this is a user profile I picked up, and I want to solve the whole business opportunity around Disha. When I'm designing my product, I want to place Disha as my friend who is sitting next to me and for whom I'm providing the solution. So Disha is live, kicking next to me, and we're doing it for Disha. So if you see the attitudes and needs of Disha, she's a health and fitness conscious person. She goes to her, she meets her regular routines, fits her regular routines with fitness, like taking stairs wherever possible or going shopping on foot. And she also is very health conscious, so goes to her regular medical checkups, and also she's very ambitious. She wants, since she's been working as a developer for almost 4 to 5 years, now she wants to take a leap in her career. She wants to move and become a team leader. So she's working very hard. Now that all leaves Disha with so much hands full that she has no time to take care of her nutritional needs, to take care of her research and find what exactly she should consume, or when exactly she should consume. Also, for the fact that she's staying away from family, she's staying as a bachelor with friends, she has more constraints on focusing on her diet. Okay, so that's how Disha is. You know how Disha is, right? Now her goal is like she wishes, but end of the day, she wishes when I come back home, I wish somebody takes care of my nutritional requirement, like gives me good food or say a nice salad, which meets all the daily nutrient requirement. So her goal is to include a good, healthy eating habit into her lifestyle and in a sustainable way. So if it is not sustainable, like all of us go through some fads every time, like for weight loss, we follow this diet, that diet. Okay, but she wants it in a sustainable way that it can be replicated over a period of time. It can be, followed over a period of time. So she wants somebody to take care of her. So now we know what is the business opportunity and who are we solving or addressing or placing at the core of our whole activity for whom we are solving the business, the solution. Okay. Are we clear so far? Are you all now familiar with Disha? Do you all see her as somebody you know? Can I get some thumbs up? All right. Perfect. Okay. So now for the business problem you have chosen. A minute back, we said that I want you to go build a business problem yourselves, right? Take a business problem which you want to solve. So for that business problem, can you start using this template and build a user profile? Can it take 5 minutes or I can time it? Take about 5 minutes to build that template. And then we will call out a few of you to share it with the rest of the team. So for the business problem you've chosen, can you think of a user profile, a user persona? I'm timing it for 5 minutes, maybe. If you need to look at the user profile we've already built for the other solution, please let me know. I can bring up that screen.
Sushmita, sorry, I am also a participant in this. So I have a question actually.
Yes, go ahead.
Right. So Sushmita, when we build a user profile, aren't we generalizing too much? Like from a business perspective, we're looking at n number of customers. However, when we take a persona, aren't we limiting, who our potential customer is?
Yes, and no, both. Okay. So when you're profiling your customers, like I said, when I defined about user personas, the personas are need not be limited to one person. Okay. In a larger organization, when you're building a product, personas are never one person. Like in the example I shared, where I have an apartment and I am selling that apartment. Now, who are the consumers for that apartment? Could be, like I said, bachelors, could be families, could be retired people, could be anybody, right? Now, to begin with, I am choosing a persona who I will start working on and start building. Okay. And when we build a persona, we take an agreement that this is the starting point. And see, if we constantly keep worrying about who all we're going to cover, we are never going to make anything. Make a start with persona, start building, and then keep adding more personas, or pick up 2-3 personas who are very important to you and start building the product, and then start adding more details into your personas. Okay. So in order for us to get actionable, design thinking is not, as I said, it's not only observe and reflect, it's also to make that, to help that make happen, you need to have a starting point, right? So pick up from there and start doing it.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll give you another 2 minutes more. When I'm explaining a concept, in theory, the questions will be usually less. So this is an opportunity for you to do hands-on. So please, all of you participate. Like I said, be a crew, not a passenger, so that you understand where you're getting stuck and you'll be able to ask more questions as to how to come out of it. All right. Now, can we discuss? Do we have some? I stopped sharing my screen to see if we have anybody who's willing to share what they've thought of their business opportunity as, and any user profile they could think of. Do you have any volunteers here? Is anybody interested to share their business problem and the user profile they built? Vaibhav, you know your participants better. Do you want to call out anybody? I don't want to embarrass anyone.
No, I think all of them, I'm assuming, have a problem statement, just that they might be a bit shy to speak out. See, guys, I think the more you come forward with, the better the learning curve would be for you. Because when you share your examples, Sushmita here could suggest changes and the framework on how to move forward. So I think to make the best use of this workshop, I would request you to share one persona with Sushmita so that she can take it from there.
There are a couple of Sushmitas in the audience I saw when they were entering. Maybe one of the Sushmita other than me can go.
So there is Sushmita Santi. There is one Sushmita.
Yeah. Anybody? No takers at all? Okay. No, I can't push you further.
Right. See, guys, I'll tell you an example. So I think last year I went to IIM Udaipur. They had a design thinking course. They take people just for design thinking course, and I'd floated a couple of problem statements to them. You know, these were really complex problem statements, but the students there came up with wonderful solutions. So, you know, so I reached out to the faculty and said, Ki, hey, you know, the next time you're doing this program, I'll give you some problem statements to work on. So what the point I'm coming at is that this is a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for you to take any problem, right? So like we took the example of Airbnb, it was a not for, it was not a profitable company. They were making losses every month. Somebody somewhere suggested that, hey, you take good pictures and you post it, and then the trajectory of the whole company changed, right? So a lot of times we underestimate what our users are thinking. We underestimate, you know, or either we start building our own solutions. You know, when Sushmita took that infinite sign and showed us, you know, we cannot miss out on any parameter. So I think this is really, really helpful. And, you know, some of you, you know, one person out of you who wants to probably learn the most could probably share his or her user persona. Are there any takers?
Sir, can it be like general user, a lot of population between some age group? Is it possible?
Sushmita, I think you're on mute, Sushmita.
Absolutely. See, what exactly is your business opportunity? What is the problem you have picked up to solve?
Ma'am, actually, my team, we have proposed one project topic, that abstract we have submitted. We were working on like we have some tweets and we were trying to predict a disaster. Like we have some tweets on the Twitter, some disaster kind of a thing is mentioned, like earthquake is there, heavy rainfall is happening. So that idea I was thinking. So in that case, for Twitter, we have a lot of users. They can be in any age group, like between 14 to 70, if I generalize, then that will be my age group of the users, and they can be from many departments. They can be teenage students, they can be MTech or BTech higher professionals. Some they can be in different departments, software engineers, finance managers. So that is the broad area. But then I thought, like, if some person, if I think about one person, that maybe some software engineer, he's living in Mumbai, and he's like a traveler. He who would like to travel in different places. So if and always he is active on Twitter. So if we give some right kind of information on Twitter, like I was thinking about to design some NLP module, natural language processing based module, that will be giving us like what tweet is about the disaster. If somewhere heavy rainfall is happening, that is mentioned in the tweet, whether it is right or not, some probability value will be coming, like this much is the probability of being correct of this tweet. So that will be helpful for that person, because he is the traveler, so he will be getting to know about different places. So okay, now I can't go to Himachal or some other place, because I can go to some other place. So I was thinking about this idea.
Brilliant, Alka. Thank you so much for coming forward and sharing your example. It's a brilliant thing. Okay, first of all, kudos to your guts. You're very courageous to be able to share and speak on the larger forum. So that couple of things I heard when you were speaking, Alka, about the problem. Okay, so basically you want to have, see, when you are making a problem statement, like I said, in design thinking, the focus is on what and not how. Okay, so when you're talking about the NLPs, you already have in your mind that you're going to solve this problem with this solution. Okay, so design thinking is broadly defining what the problem is and explore more ways of solving that problem. And not because I know NLP as a code or I know Java as a code, and so I want to design something based on that. Okay. So it's not focusing on the solution, on the how of the solution to get to the what of the solution. Okay, that's one thing. Second thing is, yes, how are we defining the problem statement? In order for you to identify a user, okay, you want to understand what is the problem statement. Like you said, you want to help people with information that is able to give them some understanding of the accuracy of how authentic is that information, and use that information for taking some or making some decisions in their life. And this information is particularly related to the travel part, or a disaster part, information related to disaster, and give it to the audience, which is getting broadcasted to the audience. And through your solution, you want to authenticate the accuracy of that solution. So that's your business opportunity. Okay. Now, who exactly are you? Who is the person who's requiring that information? Who is the person for whom you're solving that? There could be many users, like you said. There could be anybody who's going to Twitter and noticing that tweet is a consumer of that information. But that information is just a passing information for a lot of people. It is not really consumed information, but some specific set of people consumes that information. Like you said, there's a traveler who bases his decision to travel or not based on the accuracy of that tweet, right? So you have slowly built your user profile. It's like you will start with, yeah, I am focusing on all those people who are traveling, who are interested in traveling. And so my profile will be exactly like you said, a traveler of certain age who is, very, who is an avid explorer of places and now wants to go and see the places. And what is his need? His need is to be able to be in a safe place, to be able to return safely after his travel, to have an experience which is so delightful that he wants to go through a delightful experience through his travel. So weather is a very important part of that experience. So he is the consumer of that information. So you've built your profile really well. So now you give a name and face to that profile. Say, for example, give a name, Alka. Give a name to your traveler.
Ma'am, maybe Sandeep.
Yeah, Sandeep. Sandeep, who's aged, say, from
like 26, maybe.
Yeah, 25, 26, who is now already working. So he has his own money. He has his own resources to go explore his places, and get that travel bug out of his system by going and seeing all the new places. So Sandeep is the center of your problem now. Now, for every solution you're going to design for your problem, you always will have Sandeep on your mind. Okay, everything you're designing, every issue you're picking up, you always think of what will Sandeep do? How will Sandeep understand this? How good is Sandeep at this? What is Sandeep's profile? Whether does he want a solution like this? Is he tech savvy? Is Sandeep tech savvy? Can he understand what I'm saying when I give out some information? Like I say, when I'm saying the accuracy of the information, if I said it is x to the power of n, can Sandeep understand what is x power of n? Or should he be told in a layman terms that don't go to this place, this is a disaster? Or you want to tell him in a pictorial form? Is Sandeep not a person who understands pictures better than text? So everything you're building on that solution is around Sandeep. You have Sandeep on the mind all the time, and you brought a person live, character live, so that you are basing your experience, building your experiences based on that live character. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Awesome. So one more round, a huge round of applause to Alka, please. I need more reactions. There I go. Okay. Okay. So that's about building user profile. We will move on from here. We have another 15 minutes. before we reach the end of the session. So what I will do is to share the next part of the how. Let me see if you can see my screen. Okay. So now we have built a profile, and just before we go and design the solution, let's understand this character we have introduced into our lives, into this process a little more. That is using empathy maps. Now, empathy map is something that is a sort of way of stepping into the shoes of the user. Okay, we always say that you will understand better when you step into somebody's shoes, right? So this is exactly the way how you do it. So this is the template, I would say, for you to empathize with your user. At the center of it is your user, and you are trying to understand what the user's reactions are, what are the user's expectations are, the emotions he goes through, and what are the actions the user does. So all this helps you understand the user even better. So in case of the example Alka just shared, if it's Sandeep, what are the actions he takes? Probably he's checking on Twitter to find out where the place he wants to go, what's the situation in that place, or his reactions are like, he's emotionally at what is his state? He's a bit flustered or maybe anxious because he doesn't know, suppose he doesn't have the information. What does he feel like? He feels like, do you think it's safe for me to travel there? Do you think I should go there? What if, I am saving every penny for this trip. What if all that gets flushed out because I couldn't enjoy the trip? So there's certain expectations for him out of that experience, right? So all of that is going to help you empathize with your user a bit more. So at the end of this exercise, you will have complete multiple dimensions of your target user. You'll be able to understand what the user values the most, what motivates him, what are the emotions involved for him, be it the happy emotions or the pain points or any other feelings. That's how you really build this whole empathy map. All right, I'll pause here and switch back to the example we were dealing as the salad studio example, where Disha is at the center of it. And take you through how an empathy map for Disha may look like. So as I said, design thinking is an exercise of diverging and converging. So when this empathy map exercise is happening, if you are working together as a team and you identified your user profile, each of you will silently post your inputs on the screen on your either a whiteboard you're working on or a chart you're working on, or if you're collaborating virtually, maybe a mural board. Each of you will post your inputs and group inputs which are of the same type and identify those pain points or identify those issues which Disha is, the user is going through. So in this case, say, since I'm the only one who did this exercise, I identified a few things which Disha goes through as a part of the empathy map. So Disha says, I eat food at office canteen every day, and there's not much option for salad there. I need to maintain my health and fitness, and where can I find more details about what should I eat? So those are the things that are running, that Disha says. Or she says to his friends, yaar, main bore ho gayi hu yaar, roz canteen. Sorry, I'm going on in Hindi, ranting in Hindi, but it's something like, I'm eating the same food every day in the college canteen or in the office canteen. I'm really not sure what I'm eating is really fit for my system or not, okay? She might be thinking, I wish there was somebody who can take care of me. End of the day, I go put my feet up on the table and say, I got my fresh salad and soup. I'm happy to have it. And, I'm getting my nutrition requirement. Or tonight, I don't want to eat any greasy food because I've been eating it every time I order food from outside. So I just don't feel like doing it. And she feels like she's too tired to really go into the kitchen, cut something for herself up or make something for herself. She's feeling tired. And she's also sad that she's away from home. So misses home, the home food, the nutrition that comes out of the home food. And now she will not totally lose it. She still tries to figure out few things. Maybe she thinks like, should I ask for a cook, search for cook, and sees probably, oh, this is a very expensive option for maybe being a single person. How do I even manage a cook in a flat which I'm sharing with other friends? Or, should I ask advice from a personal nutritionist? Or maybe today I'll make it myself and search for a few recipes. So these are all the things that helps me to understand Disha as a person. What exactly is she going through? I'm able to empathize with Disha much better when I have this information about her emotions, her reactions, her expectations, and all of it. So that's a lot of talking I did. Now I'll take a pause and try to see if you are convinced what exactly an empathy map does. Does anyone want to ask a question or share their feeling about the empathy map? This exercise? Any questions? Okay, does anybody else want to share their case study and try to see how the empathy map or user profile fits into their case study? Am I even audible?
You're audible a lot.
I know I talk a lot, but I expect some talking from the other end also. I'm going to then randomly call out some people.
Well, hello, ma'am.
Yes, who's this?
Yeah, this is Amla.
Amla. Good, go ahead, Amla.
Yeah, basically, we had a project initially, and that was all about mental health related things. So our target audience were basically students who do not have the money and who do not have the parent support at that time. Because if a person is saying that I'm having some mental health issues, parents would always say that, no, you're just, maybe it's just a normal thing. And their problems, everybody does not understand their problems. So these were the problems which the students were facing back then. So we made a platform, and that platform was all about where you will be able to connect with amazing psychologists. Apart from that, you will be also able to connect with psychology students who are final year students and who have a certificate where they can be registered as a professional counselor, and the prices for that will be very less. Moreover, since it's online, so many people feel that what if our information get revealed? So we also had the anonymous chat feature and everything. So I just want to know, like, how can we use this particular map in that particular problem statement? Like,
perfect. So pick up some profile name.
Sandhya. Sandhya is a
okay. So Sandhya, you are saying Sandhya has a profile. She's a student, so must be in the age group of say 14 to 22 or 24, maybe. Okay, so that's the prime area where they have more stress, at least for the studies part. Say you're looking for Sandhya in that age group, and she's a student. She's somebody who's going through mental issues, but she wants to take help. So somebody who is, her orientation is not to suffer through the whole thing, but also find a solution to come out of the suffering. Okay. So basically she's mentally a little stronger than just being depressed.
Right.
Okay. So that's how you're building your profile, saying you're building your, the problem statement is to reach out to those people with a solution, those people who are going through mental issues with a solution that they really want to adopt or accept, and and provide them with what is the wow factor in your solution. If you're saying like to be able to
This was basically an idea which we presented earlier.
Mm.
This is not the idea right now which you are presenting, but this
That's
was
fine.
an idea, and we are working on this from very long time. So since I just wanted to like ask, how can we use this particular thing in this idea?
Yeah.
The wow
So-
factor basically involves
yeah.
that you can get 24/7 support every time.
Perfect.
Secondly, since suppose if see, I'm basically from Indore and we used to speak Hindi. So since I am also sharing my problem, I want somebody who is able to speak in my language. So we are also giving that option where they'll be able to select people, psychologists all over the India or in the world who can speak their own language.
So that's the wow factor. Able to be help people in the vernacular language, which
Yes,
is
exactly.
their own language. Okay, so that's the wow factor, and also to be able to be present round the clock. So you're saying that you're like Sandhya is somebody who needs mental health, and to be able to provide her with a solution which is suitable to her in terms of language as well as timings.
Yeah.
Okay, that's so when you're empathizing with Sandhya, you are probably when what Sandhya says that I have an issue. I know I have an issue. As soon as Sandhya is able to look for a solution, she's looking out, maybe Googling or doing some random search. That means she's admitting that she wants help. So she says that I have an issue. She's admitting that she has an issue. And so she says, I have an issue. I need a help. Okay. She thinks, but she's like, there's a set of emotions she feels through. What if I come across somebody who's not genuine? These are private information, right? This is like, I need some privacy. That what if that person discloses that information? So I need a safe place to be able to speak, correct?
Exactly.
So how authentic is that? Do I have any place I can go and search for authenticity? Like, is there anything that helped me understand the reviews before I even approach them? Okay, that's what she's feeling. She thinks that I should get the solution as soon as possible, or she must be thinking like, I get this sort of mental issues around this time, say for example during the exams time, or if some family functions happen where she's not comfortable. So there are some patterns she might be noticing or she might not notice. So where exactly when am I feeling more flustered? When am I feeling that these things are coming up into my mind? Am I being idle at the time, or am I being stressed at the time? Now, so while she's going through all sets of emotions, she also does something. She's looking for options. She's finding, should I go to a psychologist or a person close by instead of trusting somebody online? Should I go to somebody who I can sit across the table and talk? Is it a better way of handling things? Or should I even forget about all these things? Just go talk to my friends. Maybe they will understand. Maybe they will help me out. Or should I talk to my parents and help them? Take their help. So she's searching for options. She's doing all. So by all this, by understanding what her state of mind is, what she thinks, what she feels, now you establish Sandhya as a live person in flesh and blood. You understand what she looks like, what she's going through, what is she looking for. She's looking for a solution which is more secure, which is available to her in a way she can express in the time she wants to express, in a fashion that is more safe and secure for her. So when you are building your application around Sandhya, now you know what exactly are the preferences what are the top 5 things or top 3 things a user want in your solution, correct?
Yeah.
That's how you build your empathy map, and that's how your solution gets built around Sandhya.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ma'am, sorry to interrupt, but my friend Amla, there is already a website called Good Minds where they are doing the same work or the same idea that you have presented.
Okay.
Just letting you know, okay?
This is not the idea which we actually presented for the hackathon. This is something which we are working independently. Yeah, I got to know about that. But we are also working on so many other features also. That's the reason why I wanted to understand this empathy map more.
All right. Thanks for bringing up that point, Khatija. I think it was Khatija who spoke, right?
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay. So I told you this at the very beginning of our design thinking exercise, that when we are doing a product, when we are researching on there is a researching template or there's a marketing team that works on the researching. So Viber brought up this point as to somebody else, I'm sorry, I couldn't place the name right now, but they asked me what are the, I think it was Vimla, who asked, what does the research actually helps you to understand? The research helps you understand what are the current, see, this is something you want to solve. Are there existing solutions already in the market? If there are existing solutions, what is your differentiator? Your Hill statement is going to say what is the differentiator from the other competitors with which you're going to launch your product and make it successful than the others. Okay. So if you have already a solution, what is the probably if the audience that are taking that solution is different, then probably you should pick up for an audience which is not getting that solution, right? So pick up who the right person is, pick up what the need is, pick up what the differentiator is, and make those choices based on the research that you do. As a student, you probably, your research is as much as what you get on a Google with the information. But for a larger organization, they have more resources available to complete that research because they are launching something on a commercial scale, correct? So that's where the templates help them to do that research. The templates help them to identify the users, also identify what should be the differentiator so that you break the clutter from rest of the competition and shine well and do well when the business outcomes are more viable and profitable. All right, are we good? Okay, so we are on the top of the hour. We just have 5 more minutes probably. So I'll just touch base on the need statements. This is the next how. So a statement that frames your user's actual needs and desires and goals. This is what a need statement is. And usually the need statement has a certain format. It says the user needs a way to do something that addresses their need so that they get a direct benefit. That's so we're saying user is the who, the need that is being met is the what, so that is the wow, which is helping them benefit in a way that is really like blowing their mind, or in a way that is really helping them exceed their expectations. Okay, so here are 2 examples where there's a need statement that is correct and there's a need statement that is incomplete. So the one with the green tick, it says a development manager can set up an environment for production level application so that she and her team can onboard and be productive in 15 minutes. So you have a clear parameter when your need is met. The minute the development manager is able to do whatever she's supposed to do with that application within that 15 minutes time, she and her team can do it in that productive time of 15 minutes. That's when you know that you have designed a product that meets and exceeds the expectations of that user. Okay, so it's clear here who is benefiting from the offering, what's the value they're getting, and how will you know when it is done. But if you see the second example here, you are having deliver a custom wiki template to allow agile teams to collaborate on client projects. Now, if you read the explanation below, it makes explicit statements about technology and delivery, but it is ambiguous about the value it is delivering. It is very difficult to measure, so we don't know when we are done. It is unclear exactly who is benefiting, and custom wiki template is not an explicit solution. What exactly is the solution? Just state the solution. So these are the 2 examples of how the need statements come up. Okay. Any questions on the need statements? So for the example we are considering about the salad studio, so I know Disha, I know what her need is. So I'm trying to make a need statement or a hill here, saying Disha needs a way to focus on her health and fitness. If I stop it right there, it's not complete, because I am saying what she needs, and I mean, what is the need that is being met by the user, but I'm really not saying what is the differentiator. So in this case, the differentiator is that her daily nutrition needs are to be met sustainably. Okay, so she should be able to meet her needs every single day without feeling any stress about it, and should be able to continue that journey over a period of time and not be like a fad of started today, ended some days, because you can't continue it. So that's the need statement for Disha, for that user. So this is a problem statement we are picked up to solve for the user. All right. Any questions on the need statements? Or the
Ma'am,
format
you
of
told about be productive in 15 minutes.
Hmm.
Means in 15 minutes, what kind of a solution we can give?
It's not about what kind of solution you can give in 15 minutes. Whoever is using that solution has a certain, like, say, for example, I'm building a web page. Okay. The loading of the web page, you have a time in which you want to see the data or content appear on your web page, right? So if I'm clicking on a link and the page is taking forever, it's buffering and taking ever, because you have such a large page with so many videos on it, so many images on it. It's so stressful on the browser that it's taking another 15-20 minutes just to load. As a user, you're going to have one frustrated person at the end, correct? So
Yes, ma'am. We will
I'm
leave
saying
that.
my differentiator is to be able to load that page in 30 seconds. So clearly I'm saying, wow, when I'm clicking on that button and the page loads with all those things which I want to see on that page in just 30 seconds or maybe less than that, that's a differentiator for me. So in this case, the productivity, the team should be able to do the onboarding or be productive in 15 minutes. That's the wow factor for them. I don't know what's the work they're doing, but whatever they're doing, they have a time limit that the application should be able to help them do within.
But
Okay,
ma'am,
ma'am, I got it.
how can this be the differentiator? However, like there are a lot of developers today nowadays. Like, so if there are a lot of good websites that loads in a 15 minute, like whatever you are matching to the level, other and like every website can match to that level, right? So how can you be the differentiator in that way?
You're mixing up two different examples, Katija. Website was a separate example, and this example which you see on the screen is a different example. Here, the development manager can set up an environment for production level application. So somebody is doing a application and they're setting it up for production. Okay, setting up an application for production is a time-consuming exercise. So if you're going to provide a solution to that team to be able to set up this application within 15 minutes after the design is complete, that's a wow factor for them.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
in the
thank you.
case of a website, it was a different example where I'm saying for easy understanding of common example, there 15 minutes is not a differentiator, but 30 seconds or 5 seconds or even less than that is a differentiator.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. Perfect. All right, team. So we will stop our day today at this. We are on the top of the hour. If you have any questions, you can post it on the chat or ask me now or share it with Vaibhav sir so that we can start our tomorrow's session answering those questions or can resolve it right away, whatever suits you.
Hi, ma'am. I'm Khatija. I'm also the founder of MetaMan, where we build. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead. Fantastic.
I'm founder of MetaMan.ltd, where we are just a startup where we build men's grooming products, okay, with the high quality.
Yeah.
So now there are a lot of beauty products, right? But how can I be the differentiator? For me, till now, whatever I have analyzes, I can be the differentiator in the good quality. So that's what I'm trying to be. Like, what can be the other ways where I can be the differentiator? Now, one of the main reason I wanted to join this design class was also to develop my website in a better way. So can you suggest me something where I can build a good website as well as a good product? Yeah.
Okay. So Katija, if you're expecting an answer for me or a solution from me about how to better your website, I am not the person. I am absolutely technically null.
Okay. No, I just mean like, can you help me in the designing way? Like there are a lot of psychological reason behind the reasons, like according to my knowledge.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You guys are better equipped than I am in finding solutions. But what I'm saying is that the design thinking process gives you a way to understand where you need to find that differentiator. Okay. So if you're saying you have a website which has something which has to be sold and you want to make that experience better for somebody who's using that website so that they come back again and again and use that product, what is exactly? Now, understand who is the person who's coming to your website. If that certain person is coming to your website to buy certain things, what exactly is that person looking for? What is that he wants it? And how does he want that experience to look like for him? So if I'm like, for example, I'm a mother, okay? And I'm a person who runs my family. So I'm buying groceries and I have options like Big Basket, like Swiggy, like so and Zomato and blah, 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 Blinkit and so on. So if I'm a person who's going to a website and going to buy certain things, I look for something like I look for a way to add things into the cart as quickly as possible, a way to differentiate two different products, like able to compare, especially if I'm buying high-end products. I want to see which product is better. So I should be able to compare two products. So there are certain features which as a user, I probably will be looking for it. Like, okay, say I may not be buying groceries every day. I maybe whenever I remember, I should be able to add the groceries into my cart, right? So the cart should remain there. So all these things, some of them may sound like, oh, this is all existing. But when they first thought about that for a user, it was not existing. It was a non-existent idea that came into existence because somebody thought about that. A user may be thinking, I should put something in the cart and I will only check out 5 days later. So the card should still be there. There should be a login. There should be a password. There should be a user protected login and password. There should be a secure way of handling transactions. There should be a wallet where they can park their money or get their refunds. So everything, every design element was thought about by placing the user at the center of that problem, right? So every time you're thinking, how does this user, so have that user centricity focus on your website. Think about who is the one who's using it. What are their needs you're trying to meet? What is the experience you want to create for them? So when you start thinking it, don't think about how I'm going to do it. Do I have the capability of coding? Do I know how to code it? Do I have to hire other people to code it? Do I have the finances to code it? Sometimes the solutions you think may not be absolutely viable right now. Okay, right now. Okay, it will eventually fall in place. It may. Or sometimes the solution you have today is not going to help you solve that problem. You are very futuristic about your problem, but you don't have a way to solve that problem today. But it will eventually happen. So park your problems there. Find a solution. So all this is part of the design thinking experience. Okay, so when you're going to place your thoughts around user centricity, about human centric experiences, then you will eventually find solutions to solve those problems. Okay.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was lovely talking to you.
Pleasure is all mine.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. There we go. We've exceeded the time. Thanks for participating and thanks for being a live audience. You're really good, but I expect more voices to come out in tomorrow's session, more examples more questions to throw at me, more examples to share and exchange of knowledge happening. So looking forward to tomorrow. And again, if you have some questions which couldn't get answered now, please pass it on to Viber or you can bring it up tomorrow when we start.
Yes. Thank you, Sushmita. I think the session was really helpful. I have not seen a retention rate of 50% in a 2-hour session. So thank you. I think it was really interesting. See you all tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sushmita. Bye-bye.
Have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.